Welcome to this video, which was made by the Southwark Enhanced Intervention Service. Today's video is the second of two videos focusing on anxiety management strategies. These discuss how you can reduce your own anxiety and also support people with learning disabilities and autism to reduce their anxiety. This video contains Level 2 strategies. Please make sure you have watched our Anxiety Management Level 1 video first.
In our previous video, we focused on relaxation strategies, including progressive muscle and controlled breathing, self-care and soothing, positive statements, problem solving, and the worry tree. In this video, we'll be focusing on challenging your anxious thoughts, managing rumination, using guided imagery, and distraction. As we noted in the Level 1 video, it is important to remember that for each person, there is a different set of activities and skills that will help you relax. So the first step is to find out which ones work for you and the ones that work for the person you are supporting, and to practice them. One technique that we use in anxiety management is thought challenging. This technique is drawn from cognitive behavioural therapy, or CBT.
One thing that we know is that the way we think about things has an impact on our mood. If we think in a negative and anxious way, we will feel anxious. We have many thoughts constantly throughout the day. Some of these thoughts are attached to a particular emotion. Many of our thoughts are automatic. That means that they pop into our head without us asking for them. We as humans have a tendency to believe that our thoughts are true and facts. However, this is not the case. Our thoughts are just thoughts and they are not necessarily facts. This is the basis for us actively challenging some of our negative automatic thoughts. You can challenge your thoughts by using the following process. 1. Identify the thought you are having. When you are worrying, a useful question to ask yourself is, what's the worst thing that could happen? Or what am I really worried about? 2. Then ask yourself, how anxious does this thought make me feel? It can be helpful to rate your anxiety on a scale of 1 to 10. 3. Then start to ask yourself things that question this thought. Is this thought true? Is this thought fact or opinion? A little hint, most thoughts are not facts. 4. Ask yourself, what is the evidence that supports the thought? Remember to only write facts. 5. Then ask yourself, what is the evidence against the thought? Remember again, only write facts. 6. Then, based on these facts, try to write a more balanced thought. It doesn't need to be positive, but it should be more balanced and based on the facts. 7. Then ask yourself, if you were to believe this new thought, how would you rate your anxiety on the same scale of 1 to 10? A helpful way to consider this technique is to imagine that your thought is on trial. Let's try an example. Imagine you're going to meet a group of new friends. You think it will be a disaster and you rate your anxiety as 8 out of 10. The evidence that supports this thought is, last time I went to the pub, I got lost and I don't really know these friends very well. The evidence against this thought is, well, they're all very nice and they've been very nice to me so far. They invited me, so they must want me there. We do have things in common, so we should have some things to talk about. So the alternative, more balanced thought might be, it will probably go okay, we have things to talk about, they are nice and they want me there. When you think this new balanced thought, the anxiety goes down to 5 out of 10.
Thought challenging can be very helpful to manage your anxiety, but it can be a very difficult technique to learn and remember to use. One thing some people find helpful to keep in mind is think. Is the thought true? Is the thought fact or opinion? What is true about the situation? What are the facts? Is this thought helpful to me? What would be helpful to think right now? Does this thought inspire me, or is it important right now? What is important right now? Is this thought necessary? Do I need to believe in it and act upon this thought. What is necessary to do right now? Do I need to act immediately, later, or never? And is this thought kind to me or others? Is this thought kind to me? Is it kind about others? What would be kind right now? If you answered no to any of these think questions, you can safely challenge the thought. Learning to be more flexible towards your thoughts can help you manage your anxiety and challenge your thoughts. Imagine the mighty oak tree. It's stuck, rigid, closed, and vulnerable. It's big, strong, stiff, and unyielding, but it's also inflexible and is much more vulnerable to being broken and blown down in a storm. Now imagine the swaying palm tree. It's open, flexible, tolerant, and adaptable. The palm tree is smaller and flexible. It bends with the fierce winds in a storm before standing again and continuing to live after the storm has passed. So with our minds, a fixed and rigid mind means being very closed and is much less healthy than a mind that is open, tolerant, and flexible. An open and flexible mind allows growth, learning, and progress. It also allows us to look at the problem in a different light. Just as the outside weather doesn't affect who we are, our core beliefs and life values, our thoughts are just like the weather of our minds. When we are anxious, it may feel like we're in a storm, but eventually, the storm will run out of energy. And we can learn to notice when we are being a rigid oak and become more flexible and open by allowing our thoughts, images, words, and feelings just to blow on through and past our minds.
Another model that can help us to remain balanced about our thinking is called wise mind. There is a theory that at any given time we may be using a different mindset: reasonable mind, emotional mind, or wise mind. Reasonable mind is the logical and rational part of us. This part is driven by data rather than by emotions. Emotional mind is the part of us driven by feelings such as love or fear. The wise mind is the balanced part of us that comprises our inner knowledge and intuition, where our emotional thinking mind and rational thinking mind come together. Emotion mind drives opinion, whilst reasonable mind is fact-based. By asking ourselves what wise mind might make of the situation, that will help us to stand back and be more aware of the bigger picture and help us to respond in a more helpful and effective way. Our wise mind integrates our emotional mind and reasonable mind. It adds intuitive knowing to emotional distress and logical analysis. It is the calm that follows a storm and sees or knows something directly and clearly and ensures the needs of both emotional mind and reasonable mind are met. So when we are anxious, we can learn to be more aware of how our own belief system affects us and consider how others might see the same situation quite differently. Often when we are anxious, we have a tendency to ruminate or worry. Rumination is an overfocus and dwelling on things that have happened in the past. Worry is an overfocus and thinking about things that may happen in the future. Rumination and worry are usually negatively focused and can make us very anxious and low. When we ruminate and worry, we often focus our attention on negative thoughts rather than looking at solutions. But there are many different strategies that you could implement to help manage your ruminating thoughts. We will discuss two examples called the apple and the stop techniques.
The apple technique can be used to respond to rumination or worrying. Apple helps us respond mindfully and more effectively to unhelpful thoughts and feelings. You can do this by acknowledging, noticing and acknowledging the uncertainty as it comes to mind. Pausing, not reacting like you normally would do, not reacting at all, just pausing and breathing. Pulling back, telling yourself that this is the anxiety talking and this thought or feeling is only a thought or feeling, and remembering that you do not have to believe everything you think. Thoughts are not statements or facts. Letting go. Letting go of the thought or feeling, knowing it will pass and that you do not have to respond to them. You might imagine them floating away in a bubble or a cloud. And exploring. Exploring the present moment, because right now, in this moment, all is well. Notice your breathing, the sensations of breathing. Notice the ground beneath you. Look around and notice what you see, what you hear, what you can touch, what you can smell. Right now, then shifting your focus to the attention to something else. Something that you need to do, or what you were doing before you noticed the worry, or to do something else.
You can also use the stop skills to challenge your thoughts and problem solve. You can do this by stopping, just pause for a moment. Take a breath, one slow, deep breath. Observe, there's that worry again. My body is reacting to those thoughts and I feel anxious. Take a moment to notice this. Pull back. This is just the anxiety talking, and note that you don't have to react right now. And practice and proceed, thinking about what you can do right now and where you can focus your attention.
Now let's talk more about worry. In our previous video, we said that worry can be associated with anxiety and that we can spend many hours a day worrying about anything and everything, which is not helpful. We spoke about using the worry tree to notice the worry and choose what to do next. Either solve the problem or let the worry go. However, one thing we know is that people often feel like worry is actually a helpful thing and that it can be very difficult to stop worrying because of this. Other people become overly focused on the worry and develop negative beliefs about the worry. Let's look at this in some more detail. Common negative beliefs about worry include worries such as, I might lose control. The worry will drive me crazy. Common positive beliefs about worry include, worrying keeps me and others safe. Worrying helps me prepare for all of the possible worst-case scenarios. Worry means I'm a caring person. From what we have learnt so far in this video, you can probably now recognise that neither of these extreme camps of thinking are facts, and therefore it can be challenged. Worry itself is not necessarily dangerous. It is something that most people do at some point. However, too much worry can impact the quality of your life and make you feel very anxious. There are two helpful techniques that you can use if you know you're a worrier. People who worry and whose minds appear to be constantly on duty find it helpful to set a regular time for being off duty or worry-free zones. Over time, the worry-free zones become longer and more frequent as you progress towards overcoming your worry. Here, identify any existing worry-free zones or times when you already seem not to worry so much. It may be at a particular time of day, certain places, or when you are doing certain activities. Build on these times so that they become established worry-free zones, and when you agree not to worry during these times. Agree new worry-free zones and think about the time of day, length of time of your worry-free zones, where you will be, and what activity you may be doing when you are not worrying. You might include activities which require greater concentration, relaxation techniques, or a mindful activity. Agree not to worry during these times. So when a worrying thought comes to your mind, notice the urge to worry, then tell yourself, I do not need to worry about this right now, because I can worry about it later on. Over time, you can then extend these periods into a length and/or frequency, and you'll be able to become more used to not worrying, and it will become a lot easier. You will then be able to take more control of the worry and discover that you do not need to worry.
Another helpful idea is that we can postpone our worries to a dedicated worry time. Start by identifying a time in your day when you can sit down and you are allowed to worry. Try not to make it too close to bedtime and try to set a time limit with something distracting and enjoyable planned for afterwards. The aim is then to notice the worrying thoughts during the day and tell yourself, I'll not worry about that now, so I can worry about it later. Then return your focus of attention to what you are doing or do something else to distract yourself. You may want to carry a notebook and write down each worry as it happens, or make a note on your phone. During the worry time, have a look at your list and only worry about those worries that are still a concern. Dismiss any of the other worries or postpone less urgent worries to the next time. Over time, you'll probably notice that you don't need the worry time because you'll discover that it's not very helpful. And once you return to worries from earlier in the day, they may seem much less important. Now let's talk about using guided imagery. Guided imagery uses the power of the mind to evoke positive emotions. It works quite simply by imagining a relaxing scene in great detail. It might sound silly or too simple, but it has been shown to work to reduce anxiety and make people feel calmer and relaxed. It uses mental pictures as a way to help reduce anxiety and increase calm thoughts and feelings. The goal of guided imagery is to get rid of the negative thoughts and images and transport you or the person you're supporting to a calming, relaxing and safe place that you can feel all of your senses. Our minds don't necessarily know the difference between real and imagined, and we can therefore use this to our advantage when we're anxious.
There are a number of websites that offer guided imagery scripts to help in various situations. It will give you many different choices, but you can also write your own guided imagery script. And here are some tips to help. Script should include all of the senses. In other words, don't just picture a situation, but give it enough detail for you to taste, smell, touch, see, and hear what's going on around you. Know the purpose of the script before you write it. What do you want to accomplish? For example, do you need to give a presentation and want to picture yourself successfully standing up in front of co-workers with a powerful and interesting presentation? Do you want to talk to someone you don't know? Do you want to get on an elevator? Drive somewhere yourself? Knowing the purpose will help you create a specific script for the individual situation. Believe in the power of guided imagery. Don't derate the idea by telling yourself, this will never work. Instead, focus on the positive and believe that you can change your life by first imagining changes. Spend a few minutes on relaxation exercises before beginning writing your script. It is important to be relaxed when you begin. Take some time to practice deep breathing, meditation, or yoga so you are in the right frame of mind. Write down important points you want to include in your script. Be sure to include areas that make you particularly nervous, creating a situation in your mind that you are involved in this activity without being nervous. Once you're prepared, write a story of the situation you want to make through. Picture yourself without anxiety and write down what it looks like. As in the tip above, include your different senses in the description so you're not only seeing yourself in the situation, but you are transported through it through sight, smell, hearing, etc. Throughout your script, remind yourself that you are safe and free of anxiety. When you have completed your script, practice it, filling in different areas to make it complete and thorough. Continue using your script on a daily basis until when you think of the particular situation, you are automatically envisioned your script version rather than the negative, anxiety-ridden version you previously thought of. As you master the situation, think of another area that fills you with dread and anxiety, and write a script to help you master that experience. It is important to note that if you want to adapt this technique to use it with people with learning disabilities and autism, you should only try this with people who are good at imagining. Some people with autism struggle to imagine things, so this would be very difficult for them to do. And finally, let's talk about distraction techniques.
Distraction is a last resort technique. When all of the other techniques are not working, or if you are supporting someone with a learning disability and autism who is becoming overwhelmed by anxiety, distraction can help. It is important to note that distraction does not target the cause of the anxiety and can sometimes reinforce certain negative behaviours, but it can help in the short term. If you're feeling overwhelmed, you can distract yourself using something engaging, enjoyable, and easily accessible. You can help distract someone you are supporting by encouraging them to participate in a preferred activity, such as watching their favourite movie, giving them another task that they enjoy, or giving them their favourite food or object.
This video is brought to you by the Southwark EIS.
We hope you found this video useful. If you'd like any further information, please don't hesitate to contact us.